We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We've got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto. This is your weekday morning show where we bring you the latest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, technical, on-chain, and fundamental analysis. And in today's video, we're going to be bringing you a ton of updates on everything from a major hack that happened on a stablecoin recently, to the CFTC accusing somebody of running a Ponzi scheme, to the Vasil update coming out to Cardano, how that's going to look. Could that cause Cardano to rally all the way back to $1? We're going to talk about the Federal Reserve and what kind of interest rates we're going to be seeing happen in the next couple of months and predictions there. CPI over EFFR. We've got a ton of different data that we want to bring you. We want to talk about how Ethereum's pushing nearly $2,000. Bitcoin's doing well. We got a lot to break down in today's episode. Very much looking forward to it. If you do enjoy today's video, make sure to hit that like button. Let's see if we can't get to 100 likes before I introduce our amazing co-hosts. And also make sure to follow us on all of our social media at CryptoJebb over on Instagram and Twitter at CryptoJebbOfficial over on TikTok. Make sure to follow Smay on his account. Make sure to follow T-Shroom and Tim and Kelly and all the people. And make sure to stay tuned because we got a great show lined up for you today. Very excited for it. I am joined, as always, by, for now anyway, my co-host, T.A. Tim. How are you doing, Tim?
Good morning, everybody.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen. Yes.
Guten Morgen.
It is a good day.
It is a good day.
I got last night, after 2 years
2 years
of torn rotator cuffs, I actually got to lift heavy bench last night, and it was fun.
Wow. What did you
It
get?
was fun. I got 225 for 8 reps.
Nice.
Now my shoulder's sore this morning because it's exhausted, but it was good.
Hey, Tim, I'm very happy for you.
I'm happy for myself, if I'm being honest.
I know it's been a really big struggle.
It's been the most frustrating 2 years of my last 2 years.
That is very exciting.
We're also joined as always by Smay.
Hello, everybody.
Woo! It doesn't
Welcome,
count when you do the
Smay.
class for yourself, though.
All right. Well,
I'll do it for you. Let's go,
Hey!
Smay! Woo! Woo! Awesome. Well,
Guys, I've been having a good time, a good little time. I had a great weekend, very restful. Did a lot of meal prep. I'm back on that health grind, boys. So that's very exciting. I've been working out. I've been meal prepping. I literally have every meal this week prepped like a true bodybuilder.
What a man.
You know?
That's a man right
It's
there.
very like protein, calorie, all that
He's
stuff.
on the market latest.
I tasted the overnight oats too. It was delicious.
I make some delicious meal
delicious?
prep. Have you tried my protein pasta?
I have not. I've had protein pasta before though, so I don't know if it's unique to you.
No. I'll show you my recipe. I have a good recipe.
Okay.
So
I
I'll
mean,
show
you
it
made
to
the
you
pasta
today.
itself, or you made the
No,
sauce
not the
that goes
pasta
on
itself. Everything. No, I call it protein pasta, but it's the dish.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll
As long as it's not. I got invited to a dinner this last week to go eat tuna noodle casserole.
okay, that is horrifying.
sounds
Who
terrible.
is eating? Tell me right now in chat if you're invited to a dinner party and they tell you, yeah, you're gonna love dinner. It's gonna be tuna noodle casserole. Are you going to that dinner party? I avoided it by the skin of my teeth.
Good.
So
You let
So
it cut
I
your
just
teeth?
would like to say real quick before we get started with the green names, I'm officially renewing my vows in this transitionary season. You know, like tomorrow is Jebb's last day, and a lot of things are changing.
It's true.
I'm renewing my vows to you that Smay's gonna look. Smay's gonna go through a little bit of a rebrand, if you will, in terms of physically. I'm gonna go through a rebrand. I'm gonna look a little different here, hopefully, in the next 6 months or so. So, guys, keep an eye out for what I'm going to call Thinny Smay.
Thinny Smay. Let's go.
And that's going to be the thing. But I would like to read some green names in honor of my new journey. So we have GS, These Nuts, Kevin Grims, Tyler, should I not have said it like that? Maybe too loud? Maybe that was, okay.
Got him.
Tyler Main, Justin Eubanks, Elliot Locke, Tyler Main,
Again.
Mike Lowry, Win Peoples. Let's see, I'm trying to find new names here, but there's just so many. We have Crypto Ben Franklin, Christopher McFarlane, Agent Gold, Crypto AI, Ryan McEachern. McEachern some Bitcoin.
Mitchie
Silent. Get it? That was a play on
I liked
his name.
it. Yeah, yes, I love this.
Then we have JoJo, we have Queen, we got so many great names in the chat. I think I've just covered all of them. I am so excited for all of you guys to be joining us. And anyways, back to you, Jebb, to send it back to me.
Well, Smay, I know that you just love to store green names in your heart, but that doesn't explain where you would store your cryptocurrency keys. So let me ask you, where would you store those?
Well, gee, there's nothing more a fit Smay would like more than to have a secure self-custody solution for storing his cryptocurrency private keys.
Yeah.
Well, gee, good thing that even thick Smay can engage in such a beautiful device and activity. Guys, let me tell you about a company that we are sponsored by called Ledger. Ledger is the #1 solution for storing your cold wallet needs, your cryptocurrency, your private keys on a device that keeps them safe and secure and away from the grimy hands of the exchanges and the public. Yeah, keep those things private, baby. Keep them off the internet, baby. So I'm going to tell you what, if you don't have a cold wallet right now, that's like a fundamental crypto 101 step to being financially sovereign. So I'm going to tell you guys, go ahead and check out the link in the description. Get yourself a Ledger today. It is going to change your crypto journey for the better. And it really is going to be very helpful for our next sponsor later in the show. So just keep that in mind. Back to you, Jebb.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so very much for reading the green names, reading the sponsor, and also for the great time. Guys, we got a great show lined up. We're about to jump into our market pulse here in just a moment. But before we do, I just want to ask everybody, how was your weekend? Tell me in chat, because we got, like I said, market pulse coming up here in just a second. We're going to throw it over to T-Shroom, and we're going to see what's going on in the market. We're going to be looking at a DeFi platform stablecoin that dropped 99%. Yes, another stablecoin got absolutely wrecked. We got some news coming out of China where they're actually cutting interest rates a little bit. And then we also have a very peculiar way that Bitcoin could be changing in the institutional eye over the next couple of months. So guys, stay tuned. We've got a great show lined up for you. I'm going to throw it to T-Shroom now because we are going to go over our market pulse. T-Shroom, take it away.
If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you are in the market pulse. And hopefully that is a good thing for you, because it's something that I know is great for me. We're going to start off looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin has retraced those gains earned over the weekend, and it's down to 24,000. And that is still pretty impressive, though, folks. I mean, it's come off that rally, that channel that we seem to not be able to get out of. But you're probably thinking, hey, price action is for TA. Let's leave it in TA. And I couldn't agree more. Let's see who's done the best in the last 24 hours. Let's see. Anchor. Interesting. Yeah, so actually, in the last 24 hours, not a lot of green. Really only about 7. Sheep did do okay. But in the last, let's check the last 7 days, the story is a little different there. Still, the sell token is still getting some love. Anchor getting some love. So these two are really associated with defunct projects for the most part, but they're getting some love as they have some, what you'd have to only assume is a dead cat bounce, unless there's something I don't know. Sheeb doing really, really well. Nexo really, really well. So and Wibby token doing pretty well. I believe there was some really big news on them last week. So we'll keep moving along. Oh, Chills doing well. Chili's, I should say, doing really well, up 15% over 7 days. Just out of curiosity, let's see who's doing the best out of the on the 90 day, and it's still Celsius Cell token. Very, very interesting. Lido doing really well as well. Uniswap doing pretty well. It just got listed on Robinhood about a month ago. So let's go ahead and look at the fear and greed index. That is currently at 45, and that is up from yesterday and last week. So things are moving in the right direction. It's down from yesterday, actually. So yesterday it was neutral. Last week it was fearful, so about the same. And then last month it was extreme fear. So we have had fear kind of cycling out of the market, and it's kind of trending towards, moderate fear. I've never reported on it in this way, but, overall moving in a decent direction. But let's go ahead and get to our stories, guys. Let's go ahead and make it happen here. Bitcoin likely to transition to a risk-off asset in H2 2022, says Bloomberg, an analyst. I see it transitioning to be more of a risk-off asset like bonds, gold, and less of a risk-on asset like the stock market. According to the analyst, the crypto market has flushed out most of the speculative excess that marked 2021 and is now ripe for a fresh rally. McGlone, who's the analyst, also pointed out that the Fed's aggressive hiking of interest rates will lead the global economy to a deflationary recession, which will ultimately favor Bitcoin, in his words. I fully expect we're going to have a pretty severe recession globally, which probably will make Bitcoin shine along with other gold and U.S. treasuries. Really, really interesting take there. Jebb, what do you think? Do you think that Bitcoin becomes a risk-off asset as we go into a recession?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it's designed to do. Bitcoin should be the place that people go and they store their liquidity and their value whenever the economy is not blowing up in a boom time where we have massive amounts of money being printed and super low interest rates. That's the vision. I do have my doubts as to whether or not that's going to be able to be achieved in half two of 2022, because a lot of these institutions that are getting into crypto are still kind of sitting on the sidelines saying, I wonder when to get in. I don't know if they're going to say, okay, well, now it's time because the economy is undergoing a lot of turmoil right now. I'd like to say that Bitcoin's going to transition to this risk-off asset that quickly, but I don't know if it's going to happen that fast. But what do you think, T-Shroom?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting. Thesis from him, and it's what's supposed to happen. So
it'd be amazing if it did.
Let's. I mean, I'm not going to change my investment strategy based on this information, but it's hopeful. So and it's a top analyst coming out of Bloomberg. So definitely some positive news there. Some positive analysis over there at Bloomberg. China's central bank lowers policy loan rate by 10 basis points to assist economic recovery. This is a really weird rate. You never hear this rate, 10 basis points. But you also don't see rates being lowered right now. This is the only one that I've heard of in a very long time. There you get a nice picture of the Chinese central bank. I don't think I've ever laid eyes on that before, so that's pretty cool. China's central bank on Monday lowered its one-year policy loan rate as well as a 7-day reverse repo rate, both by 10 basis points, a move that reflected the country's continued policy of supporting the real economy amid downward pressure. On Monday, the People's Bank of China lowered the one-year minimum term lending facility, MLF, rate through which it provides one-year loans to the banking system by 10 basis points to 2.75% from last month's level. So really, really interesting move there from the Chinese central bank. We're not going to spend a ton of time on that because it doesn't directly affect crypto. Jebb, did you have any thoughts on that, or are we ready to move on?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that kind of illuminates China's policy, is that China's really trying to play the game to jump ahead and become the global dominant superpower. That's one of the reasons why they're so interested in taking Taiwan. If they can take Taiwan, that can quite literally completely change the entire balance of power in the South China Sea and in the Pacific Ocean. That would give them the opening to the Pacific and dominate globally as a maritime power, not just a land-based military power. So China is trying right now to overtake geopolitically, influentially, culturally, the United States as the number one superpower on the planet. Right now, they are trying to become a superpower that can contend with the United States and overtake us as that superpower in all of those ways. So what they're trying to do, and what they've been doing for a long time, is devaluing their currency by keeping their interest rates very low, by allowing a lot of money printing, taking on a lot of debt, building their economy based on credit, and then passing off a lot of that debt and credit to other nations where they're taking on a lot of debt and credit, similar to how the United States is, except the United States is doing it largely out of just stupidity, but China's doing it as a strategy to devalue their currency, inject a ton of liquidity into their economy, and grow the economy so fast that the growth of the economy outpaces that liquidity injection, and then they can pass off that debt to other nations, like in Africa, where there are billions and billions and quite frankly, trillions of dollars of investment happening through the Belt and Road Initiative that you probably heard so much about. Their idea is that if they can build their economy on debt and credit and then pass that off to somebody else, then they are left with the benefits of it and somebody else has to reap the consequences of it. And that's one of the reasons why you see China lowering interest rates right now, because it's always been in their wheelhouse to lower interest rates, to make money cheaper, to make liquidity flow more. You think the United States has a Keynesian economic model. It doesn't hold a candle to the way that China is trying to run their economy ever since they started picking and choosing what parts of capitalism they wanted. They started picking and choosing Keynesian economic models as well so they could pay for whatever they wanted, build their infrastructure, and catch up very quickly. People don't realize China was an agrarian society until 50 years ago. Their median GDP was a tenth of what it is 30 years ago, and they've caught up extremely quickly with the West. And they realize that if they don't do something else, like continuing to push forward with this high liquidity, low cost of money paradigm that they're under, then they're never going to actually be able to surpass and overtake the United States. They're always going to be playing second fiddle to the United States as they are right now, and they don't want that. They want to surpass the United States, be the global superpower, and in the way that the West right now dominates global culture and maritime and military and economy, they want that to be in their sphere of influence instead, and lowering interest rates is a symptom of their strategy. The reason I bring up their strategy is so that you understand the way that they are going to position themselves around this conversation of interest rates and liquidity and money printing, so that you understand how other powers around the world are positioning for their power on the global stage.
Absolutely. Well, Jebb, not too many thoughts on this move from China. Just kidding. So Akala exploit. This is another pretty big story. Unfortunate story if you're a big Polkadot fan, because this is going to raise some uncomfortable questions. But Akala exploit causes Polkadot-based DeFi platform stablecoin to drop 99%. Really, really rough. It's no longer 99%, but that's because markets move so fast, especially in the crypto space. The list of not-so-stable stablecoins has a new addition, as Polkadot-based decentralized finance platform Akala saw its AUSD stablecoin crash by 99% after hackers exploited a bug in its liquidity pool. It plunged to as low as $0 and 0.00009. So very, very, very low there. Less than
Which
one.
Is still down there according to CoinMarketCap. It's still down 98.5%, 98.94%.
Absolutely. We're going to take a look at that in just a second. In a tweet, Akala Network explained that due to a misconfiguration of its new launched IBTC to AUSD liquidity pool, hackers were able to mint 1.28 billion AUSD. The sudden influx of coins caused the stablecoin to depeg in mere minutes. Yes, that's what I would imagine would happen if you minted 1.28 billion out of thin air. So that's a really interesting hack. I don't think that I've ever seen something like that take place. Usually hackers are trying to extract capital. In this case, they just really, really inflated the currency there. But Akala's AUSD joins a growing list of stablecoins that have dramatically depegged. In May, the collapse of Terra's algorithmic stablecoin UST, haven't heard that name in a while, right?
Yeah.
Wiped out billions of dollars in value in a matter of days, drawing regulatory attention from around the world. Unlike UST, Akala's AUSD isn't a algorithmic stablecoin, but claims to be a multi-collateralized and backed by assets including DOT, Kasama, ACA, KAR, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. So I suppose it's primarily backed by DOT, which is why it got the title of this article here, but also, obviously backed by some other ones there. Definitely have not gotten to the end of this story yet. Stay tuned to Coffee and Crypto, and we'll be keeping you up to date on this. If you are involved in this, if you had money tied up in Akala, stay strong, reach out for help where you can, whether that be family members or someone online, preferably family or friends, kind of around you in your immediate physical environment, just for some stabilization and to help reassure you that everything's going to be okay, because I can assure you everything will be okay. Money is not the end-all, be-all. And hopefully you learned some lessons for trading in the future. Going to take a look at the Akala platform here. This is what it is. It claims to be the native decentralized stablecoin of Polkadot, a decentralized multi-collateral coin-based stablecoin. They've got some of their tokenomics here laid out. You guys can go check this out for yourselves. But it is a real thing. This is really happening. And it is very unfortunate, especially if you have any assets tied up in AUSD. Going to take a look at that price of that. Looking at it on a year, man, it really, really came down. That is stunning. Looks a lot like kind of Luna and its collapse earlier this year. Going to go ahead and move on to the next story, just because we are running running over on the market pulse. But the CFTC is accusing Ohio man of running a $12 million Bitcoin Ponzi scheme. Never like to see the word Bitcoin associated with Ponzi scheme, but let's read further. The U.S. Commodities Future and Trading Commission, CFTC, has taken legal action against An Ohio resident, it says, ran a $12 million Ponzi scheme involving Bitcoin. A complaint filed at a district court in the state on Thursday shows, the state being Ohio. Gree is the individual's name. The Ohio resident is accused of engineering and perpetuating a scheme designed to dupe investors interested in digital assets, according to the CFTC Commissioner, Kristen Johnson, under the guise that he operated a private equity investment fund with a focus on investing in digital assets. Geary seized upon the contemporary fervor for digital asset investment opportunities and lured unwitting investors to contribute over $12 million in cash and Bitcoins to his funds with the promise of exceptional returns without the risk of financial loss, Johnson said in a statement publicly on Friday. The CFTC wants him to disgorge. I've never heard this term before, but I guess this is a financial regulatory word term. The CFTC wants him to disgorge any monetary benefits directly or indirectly attached to violation of regulations, including and not limited to salaries, commissions, loans, fees, revenues, and any trading profits. So there's going to be some lawyers paid very well to hunt down all of those things and make sure that he's brought to justice. Very, very interesting, folks. The takeaway here is be very, very careful what you're getting into. And, you know, if someone has you know, any kind of sketchiness going on, you know, you want to make sure that you're really doing your due diligence, really researching what you're looking into. But our discussion for today, which will come later on in the show, is on Cardano, which is set to trigger Vassal upgrade on mainnet as ADA price ready to shoot up to $1. So definitely be checking in. I'm not going to get into this, but before we leave the market pulse, just wanted to let you guys know that the CME futures are currently predicting a 50 basis point hike, 69% likelihood as of right now. As of Monday morning, August 15th, a 69% likelihood of a 50 basis point hike from the U.S. Federal Reserve, and then the slightly less likely, but the second up, most likely would be 75 basis point, and that's currently 31%. So we're heading towards 50 basis point hike in September, on September 21st, but we still get another unemployment print and another inflation print, so that could completely change the paradigm here of this CME future prediction tool. Well, I am T Shroom. I have been your guide, your Spirit Quest guide here through the Market Pulse. Hopefully you have learned something. Hopefully, you know, if you didn't know about that Polkadot story, you know, you're scrambling to figure out a way to manage those funds. But I'm going to go and kick it over to Jebb. Jebb, tell us what you think about these stories.
Well, T-Shroom, I think you did a wonderful job. Thank you so very much, buddy. Always appreciate you coming on, bringing us that market pulse. Guys, drop some love in chat for T-Shroom. He's absolutely killing it. He's about to be the co-host on the show every single day, taking over Tim's seat, and he will be, Tim will be over here. Or actually, Tim, are you going to keep your spot and T-Shroom's going to be over here?
I figure I'll keep my desk.
Okay.
You know, it seems simple.
Gotcha. Well, I didn't get to keep my desk when we moved into this set because I wanted this desk in my office, but you guys said it had to be on set. And quite
We
frankly,
all make sacrifices. You know?
it was a sacrifice I was willing to make. And I'm glad I did. This desk is awesome. It's a standing desk, and we haven't moved it once in like a year. So, you know, bunch of value going into a standing desk, not really needed, but that's okay. We make sacrifices for you guys. Nevertheless, guys, we got a lot of show left in us. We're going to be jumping into some technical analysis now on Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and jump on over to my chart. Even before we get into that, though, I do just want to mention what T-Shroom was talking about in relation to the effective federal funds rate. Keep a very close eye on CMEgroup.com looking at these interest rates. He was reading two slightly different numbers. He was reading 69 and 31. CMEgroup.com over here is reading 61.5 and 38.5 respectively for 50 or 75 basis points. Point is, we're looking at a 50 basis point rate hike, but as he said, there is more inflation and jobs data coming out before that release.
The thing to remember, and we were talking about this on the planning table this morning, for all of my sports fans out there, that's like trying to predict who's going to win in week 6. We have no idea what kind of injuries are going to happen. We have no idea what young players are going to step up and actually be a lot better than we thought they were, or vice versa, older players who we thought were good, who actually take a step back. Same thing. We still got 5 weeks. 5 weeks until we see those numbers. There's a lot of things that can happen to change those numbers. That's just what the prediction is right now. But if you step away for 5 weeks and come back thinking, oh, okay, I knew it was going to be 50 basis points, you might be surprised. So make sure you continue to tune into the news and read what's happening, because those numbers absolutely can change. as we're seeing them shift. Like last week, I remember we talked about it. It was 75%. Now it's down to 69% for that 50 basis points. That number could continue to shift based on how news breaks. So nothing set in stone on that just yet.
Absolutely, for sure. Guys, make sure to keep a weather eye on those interest rate hikes, because if we do see 50 basis points come out towards the end of September, probably around September 31st or so would be when they announce that, then you're likely going to see a big turnaround in Bitcoin and crypto. The economy is going to start to look up. And yes, there are people warning of a recession, but that might be pushed off for some time. But right now, the time is to jump into TA, because Bitcoin is on the move again, and we need to make sure we're keeping up to date with it. As you guys know, Bitcoin has been in this rising trading channel over the last several weeks, ever since the beginning of July, moving here until the mid point of August. We're up roughly 25 to 30%, depending on where exactly you measure. Bitcoin is pushing up against resistance at $25,000. We pushed up towards 25K before Friday, when we saw some pretty bullish news come out having to do with the CPI data back on, what did that come out on, Wednesday? Was that Wednesday, I think that came out? Yeah. Yep. On Wednesday, we saw that data come out, and Bitcoin was able to push all the way up to $25,000, all the way up to $24,900 or so, and we've been pushing against that resistance level quite a bit. You can see if I just bring down this resistance to meet what the price action has been doing, we have tested more or less 25K now 4 times. We're coming back and back testing, so looking at this more recent data, we're still in this ascending triangle pattern right here, where we're trying to decide, okay, are we going to break 25K, get some exuberance, get some bullishness, and start blasting off, or are we going to break to the downside down around here and break these uptrending levels of support? Because there are a number of them. You can see just over the last several days, over the last several weeks, Bitcoin has come down and back tested this level 3 times. We could see another back test down to it to around $23,700 in the next several days to back test that level. And then we're getting even closer into the end of this ascending triangle pattern. If we do in fact see Bitcoin break bullish here above 25K, it's going to be really important, because it would mean that Bitcoin would be blasting off again up towards new levels, and hopefully it would set 25K as a level of support. Tim, do you think that that's in the cards right now, or is Bitcoin just going to kind of range here below 25K? If we get above 25K, that's great, but are we really going to be able to break bullish out of that ascending triangle pattern?
Well, so you're talking about the ascending triangle pattern on Bitcoin?
Yeah, it shows up on the hourly chart best.
When I'm looking at that, I can understand why some people are putting it that way, but I don't have I had us in an ascending triangle pattern that we kind of broke up and then broke back down. Go to my screen, Smay. I actually think long term, look at this yellow line. I'll go out way out to the weekly chart, show you guys significance of this yellow line. This yellow line is not just significant for the short time frame. This has been used as resistance and support several times throughout the history of Bitcoin. Zooming back in, let's go to the 4-hourly chart where we can see that yellow line a little closer up. It's actually giving us an ascending level of resistance starting, if we just want to use it for this ascending wedge, go back to 15th of June. And then we touched it now twice, once, twice right there. Then we're kind of ruffling the feathers of it again here recently. I think we're in a rising wedge, Jebb. And so, we have touches going back as far as July 13th that right now, depending on where you drew this line, I just redrew this line. I had this line drawn beforehand, and that's why TA is an art form. Sometimes you got to see different things. I had us connecting to that line right there, and of course, we dipped below it right back on the 10th of August. We're hovering right at that line currently, but let's just go ahead and, for the sake of benefit, 3 touches. Let's zoom out to these 3 low touches. Let's call that the support level. I think that we're going to hit that golden pocket we talked about here for a while, around 25,400 or so. The question is, will we jump 25.4 and head up towards 30,000, or will we go back down right now? We didn't talk about it in Market Pulse. I was telling T. Shroom, something that definitely needs to be on the tip of everybody's mind is the uptick in the amount of $11,000 price predictions that we've been seeing coming out in the news here recently. We've seen it on other YouTube channels where other analysts who I think are very intelligent are talking about it. I've seen several articles throughout different news stations saying, oh, Bitcoin's going to 11,000. Here's why. Remember that all of those are opinion pieces. And yes, they have rational reasons for why they think it'll go that low. But at this point in time, that is just an opinion piece. To me, Jebb, personally, I think that we will be heading back down. But I think that I'm more worried about, let's see how far we go down when we come to talk about 17,000 right now, before we start talking about those lower levels. Because, I don't know if you're still on my screen, Smay, if you want to go back. I've talked about this before. This level around 17.5, 17.6 that we have on Bitcoin, that's the level that institutions and whales are saying we know that down at those levels, we can get the price back down to those levels, maybe a little bit lower, and get the weak hands out of it. Like this whole rally we've had on almost the entire crypto space is not based off of institution or whale investment. If they have invested, they purposely just decided to get a short short little buy to take profit and bring it back down. They know that as we get back down to that $17,000 level, the amount of weak hands in the space will be depleted. So what they're going to have to do is create narratives to make former strong hands become weak hands, because there's just not a whole heck of a lot left below 17,000. So that's why I think that even some of these opinion-based pieces, I don't want to accuse people of manipulation, but just so you know, that's how manipulation works. You start writing a narrative of, oh, we're going to go down this far, and that way you get all the retail investors who are scared to really start, when we start going back down towards 17,000, say, oh, they were right, we're going to 11,000. Let me go ahead and get out of this. Let me take my losses, but I'd rather take my losses at 17,000 than 11,000. And then sure enough, we're going to get down to we're going to get down to 17,000, and all the whales and institutions say, there we go. We got all the weekends out. Let's buy it up. Let's go back up. So I'm not ready to say yet that I think 11,000 has to happen. And I think right now, with the narrative that's kind of bearish right now, the sentiment is a little more bearish. The opinion pieces are a little more bearish. To me, that's actually more of an argument that I think we can end up flipping the 25,000 and turning it into support. It's not set in stone. It's not a guarantee. But I would be much more worried if we were seeing nothing but bullish articles coming out. If we saw a bunch of bullish opinions like we are jumping up to 40,000, bear market over. Those articles are weeks old. They're not a couple days old the way these $11,000 ones are. So to me, sentiment and charting alone, yes, we're in a rising wedge, but I think this potentially could be a fake out where we maybe go above that golden pocket and start heading towards 30,000.
Yeah, I mean, the really cool thing about what Bitcoin is doing right now is it's reestablishing market structure down here in the $20,000 to $25,000 region. If you look back on the history of Bitcoin, you bring up something called the VPVR here. That's the volume, the visible range volume profile. They actually changed the name in TradingView to the VRVP. Historically, it was known as the VPVR, but the VRVP here, you can see that it actually shows that there's not a lot of support and data here to back up this region right here in between about $12,000 to $13,000 all the way up to $20,000 or even $30,000. And the reason for that is because we shot through this region so fast. We spent so little time here between 14K down here at the local top, $13,700 in June of 2019, all the way up until about $30,000. There's virtually no trading up here. We hit an all-time high up here in 2017. I remember that. Rocketed straight through it. So the cool thing that we're doing here is we're establishing market structure and building that VPVR support, that VRVP support, I suppose. I went and changed the name on me. That VRVP support in this area, which is solid. Now, as Tim was talking about, $14,000, $13,000, or even $11,000 is in the cards. The question is, one, are we going to break bearish out of this rising wedge? Yeah. If we do, where would we find support? We would probably find support at a couple of different regions. First of all, $20,000 jumps out very obviously because that is a local all-time high. If you look at the recent data here, you can see that this is something called the POC, the point of control on the VRVP, throwing me off here, is about $20,800. That would give us a level of support right here. And then, of course, we can also bring up our Fibonacci retracement to see where that 61.8% Fibonacci golden pocket is. Boom, guess what? It sits at $20,000. So if we do break bearish out of this rising wedge, as Tim pointed out, it does really fit better as a rising wedge, to be honest with you. You could call it an ascending triangle pattern on the much shorter term time frame. On the longer term time frame out here on the 4-hourly, 8-hour daily chart, it does look more like a wedge. If we were to break bearish out of that, well, oftentimes you expect that you're going to break 70% of the time. You're going to break to the downside of a rising wedge. If you did that, you would probably see it retrace back to 61.8, $20,000. Then we could come through here and form sort of a double bottom down around $17,000 to $20,000. Certainly on the weekly chart, that would end up looking like a double bottom where you see Bitcoin come down to $19,000, then you come back down to $20,000. Double bottom like that could very easily give power to the bulls to blast off into the all-time high region come late September, October, November, December, January, February, March, where we're seeing hopefully interest rates plateau, start to cap out. And that actually is what we would be looking forward to, is that if Bitcoin did have a small correction here over the next month and a half, back down to $20,000, you get to the end of September, you have a 50 basis point rate hike, maybe you have some good unemployment numbers, some good CPI numbers, then you could see Bitcoin start to bounce from those newly created lows down around $20,000, come up here, retest $25,000. At that point, it would have hopefully some fundamental strength. It would also have this bullish MACD cross. It would also probably have a it could potentially, if we bottomed out at the same level on the candlesticks at $19,200, we could have a form of RSI divergence here where we'd have an uptrending level of RSI, flat level of support on the price action chart. All of those factors could come into play where one final dropout down here, shake out the last of the retail, and at the same time give the smart money the confidence that they need to say, okay, yeah, that actually was the bottom down at around $20,000 or even just a little bit lower, but we're generalizing that area. Yeah. That does have historical precedence, by the way, what I'm talking about. If you look back at the end of 2018, early 2019, that's what happened there. We saw a pretty quick rally after the 50% drop here in November, December. Then we went and back tested and came just above where we tested originally, went down to 3,100, and on the back test we went down to 3,300. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to go back in time and buy at $3,000, because now we're complaining about $24,000, huh? But if we did do that, then that would potentially be a end of 2018 style recovery that would lead us to the upside, maybe in a fashion like this, on towards $30,000 moving on into the rest of the year. Also keep in mind, I actually have charted over here something that I thought would be pretty interesting. The U.S. interest rates, the effective federal funds rate charted over CPI, shows us that oftentimes in history, wherever inflation goes to, we end up seeing the EFFR, the effective federal funds rate, rise in tandem and often surpass what CPI is reporting. Now, we haven't seen inflation like what we're seeing right now since the mid-70s, early 80s, but the fact is we're seeing the interest rates jump up very quickly. The interest rates are jumping up far faster, as you can see right here. This is the effective federal funds rate, rallying far faster than we were seeing in 2015 to 2019. Nobody was even talking about these 25 basis point rate hikes every quarter. Right now, we're jumping 75 basis points a month, more or less. And then you saw back over here in 2004 up until the 07-08 recession, we jumped from 100 basis points to 525 basis points. We're rallying extremely quickly there. That does mean we're going to get to plateau pretty quickly if you just extrapolate this trend that they're going on, especially if they, even if they drop it down to 50. By the end of Q1 next year, you're already going to see 4 to 5% effective federal funds rate. Hopefully inflation will be getting under control. And as I've been talking about, you start to see this kind of perfect storm where hopefully, 1, geopolitics are cooling down. Hopefully, 2, you're seeing the food shortages around the world start to level out. Hopefully, 3, you see tensions in the South China Sea start to pull back a little bit. I'm not saying these things are going to happen, but that's the hope. You see Ethereum 2.0 come out. As we're going to talk about in a minute, Vasil comes out. Ethereum and Cardano and Ethereum both have massive, probably the biggest updates that either one of them have ever seen come out and go well. Then you see inflation and jobs data seemingly like it's going to continue to improve. Then you see interest rates plateau. You also see the midterms come up, and then you start to see politicians not preparing for that, but they're actually acting the way they should. And then you potentially see the market start to top out, start to bottom out, and then you start to see that turnaround. So in the short term, I'm looking for a back test and a retracement, as Tim talked about, to $20,000 if we break bearish here. But if we do break to the upside, then $28,000 would be the target. I don't know if we really have the strength as of yet to do that. But on that bullish jobs data, CPI data, and on a really nice 50% basis point rate hike coming end of September, that then could give us the strength to push up to $30,000 and beyond moving into the next 6 months.
There's another thing that could give us strength to have a rally here very soon, and this is very important. People need to keep their eyes on this chart. Go to my chart real quick here, Smay. This is the Dixie. This is the US dollar. Right now, we are in a falling trading channel. Now, traditionally, these end up eventually breaking bullish, so we got to look at what's happening right now as we have a candle on the 4-hourly chart kind of sticking above that red line, not too far above to where it's anything serious. Wicks can go above that, but it's sitting right there at the resistance level. And on the 4-hourly chart, we got some bearish RSI divergence. It's weak bearish RSI divergence, but it is there where our RSI tops are flat. Let's see how it closes, but we're still descending. What I think is funny though is looking at these last couple candles on the Dixie. Look, this red one right here, that's a spinning top. That's a reversal candle. This green candle is bullish. It's moving up. It's still making its way. But what's funny is more often than not, Bitcoin and the Dixie move in opposite directions, but Bitcoin is under a green candle. Not a massive green candle, but it's under a green candle right now on the 4-hourly chart. Is this something showing that we have bullish RSI divergence, hidden bullish RSI divergence on the 4-hourly chart for Bitcoin? We have weak bearish RSI divergence on the Dixie. Sorry, guys, wrong one. I got to flip back. Accidentally hit the BLX. This is going to be interesting to watch what the Dixie does right here. Do we reject and do we go back down with that bearish divergence with this descending trading channel? And if that's the case, that is the momentum that Bitcoin needs to jump that 25.4, start heading towards 28, potentially even 20, potentially 30. But if we end up ending breaking through now. Like, again, these channels usually do break bullish. If we go ahead and break up to the upside, that is what I think you're talking about to say Bitcoin could go back down to $20,000. The last thing I will say, and I don't know if you mentioned this, Jeb, but I'm going to mention it just in case anyone didn't see it. The thing about falling wedges, if you're going to try to make some form of a prediction as to where it will go, you guys see this red line I have, you're wondering, Tim, why is that red line on the chart? What is that signifying? This red line is the channel. This is where the channel goes from the top to the bottom. Let me go ahead and put it up here for you. I'll redo it. This is the beginning of the channel to the close of the channel from the beginning of it. So we got the resistance starting, support starting. You extrapolate this over to the breakout, and what does this give us a prediction of? About 20,800. So that's one more argument. If we do end up breaking bearish out of this falling wedge, we're going to go back down there. The whole point of this, the reason I covered these things, is I got to prepare you guys both for the bullish and the bearish side of what's happening in the TA, but don't throw out the news, don't throw out the sentiment, and make sure you keep your mind on, and remember, sometimes when all the sentiment feels bearish, that's one of the best arguments to say it's about to go bullish, and vice versa. There's a lot of question marks happening right now, but when you put these things together, everyone's got to come to their own conclusion. But I'm telling you right now, I actually am kind of leaning more towards a bullish break more so than a bearish break based off of the sentiment and based off of what I'm seeing on the Dixie.
That would be extremely encouraging, Tim, if we were to be able to see a bullish break, despite the fact that we're still under the oppression of a 75 basis point rate hike that just happened, and we haven't seen a basis point rate hike come down to 50 just yet. That would be so very encouraging, and maybe we don't need to backtest down to $20,000. I would very much hope that we didn't have to.
And this is what we talked about this on Friday. People need to remember, just because something will go up does not mean it won't go down eventually. Like, I am not saying we won't see a $20,000 Bitcoin. I'm not saying we won't. I'm not even saying we definitely won't see an $11,000 Bitcoin. What I'm saying is all the people are saying we're about to shoot down to those prices right now. I don't think it's about to happen. I actually think we're going to go up first, and then when people are least expecting it, when all the articles are saying, when we shift back and all the articles are like, oh, bear market over. It's nothing but up. Watch us climb 30,000 and go to 40,000. Oh, everything's bullish right now. That's when we'll actually end up falling back down to 20,000. That's when potentially we have some massive stories happen that overnight while you're sleeping and don't have access to trade, we're going to have some massive red candles dropping us down to the teens. That's what you should be looking for. But when everybody's ready for it, when all the articles out there are calling for a lower price, why would that be the day that the price drops that far? All the retailers are ready for it. If anything, what the retail is going to do is they're going to sell, and the institutions and whales who are manipulating space are going to buy, pushing the price up. And then when they get the retail to buy back high, that's when they crash everything back down into those lower numbers.
Boom, absolutely. Well, guys, let's go ahead and take a look over here at Ethereum just really quickly as well. As you guys know, Ethereum is under a buy signal on the daily chart, has been rallying quite significantly. It's currently in its take profit zone, and it's also hitting these upper resistance bands on Lux Algo. So be aware that, there's a very strong case to be made that Ethereum is in the middle of topping out. In the same way you could make that case with Bitcoin. Tim's talking about how it could break to the upside first before dropping. Either way, Ethereum is doing very well right now. It is also in this sort of ascending wedge formation right here. It's even steeper, and it's doing very well on the run up towards Ethereum 2.0. The thing I want you to take a look at here is the fact that it's on a buy signal on the daily chart. So it just entered a buy signal on the 2 daily chart. It has not entered a buy signal on the 3 daily chart, but quite frankly, it's surprising that it hasn't because of how long it's been green. That's something to keep an eye on, that it hasn't hit it on the 3 daily chart, and we also have not hit it on the weekly chart. But I am encouraged that we're under a buy signal on the daily chart for Ethereum here. In fact, you can see these vertical lines represent some of the times that we've seen Ethereum have buy and sell signals, like right here. Very profitable signal, profitable signal, profitable signal, profitable signal, etc., etc., etc. So definitely make sure that you check out Lux Algo. Use the coupon code JEBB, J-E-B-B, for 20% off at the link in the description box down below. But that's not the only thing to look at here on Ethereum. We also want to take a look at the fact that it's starting to top out on its RSI. Just recently, over the weekend, we actually saw it hit 71.5 on daily RSI. That's really powerful to see some signs of strength showing on ETH. Also want to draw a comparison between ETH and Bitcoin. What we could be seeing on Bitcoin is something similar to what happened here on ETH. Dropped significantly, had a little bit of a rally, didn't really get a lot of strength, backtested, set a higher low, and then it started to blast off. That's what we could see happen with Bitcoin here on the longer term time frames, because Bitcoin did the same thing on its time frame. They mirrored each other, but on the longer term time frames, we could see bottom out, bounce, higher low, then blast off. That happens quite frequently in markets because, well, how do you start an uptrend? Well, you start an uptrend by setting a higher low. or setting a higher high. But normally if you're setting a higher high, it's because you've set a higher low. So the fact is that Bitcoin and Ethereum mirror each other, and Ethereum could be giving us forewarning of what's going on there. I am really looking forward to seeing what happens on ETH. It's broken back through resistance at $1,700, which is great because that was the previous baseline that ETH was using. The next major resistance that you'd be looking for on Ethereum is this region up here around $2,400. And then to be honest with you guys, if we get above 2,400, it's probably because Bitcoin's on a tear and it's going to go on its way back to 5K. I do think you're going to see a $5,000 Ethereum again in the next 18 months. Maybe even in the next 12 months as Bitcoin rallies back to all-time high on, hopefully, some tailwinds rather than headwinds geopolitically, economically, based on the interest rates and inflation data, and based on the entire cryptocurrency market sentiment as a whole. But, Tim, do you have any final thoughts on TA before we move on to Vasil?
Yeah, you want a hot take?
Hot take. Let's hear it.
I think Ethereum's about to cool off.
I agree.
I think that Cardano's about to get hot. I think Bitcoin will be steady. I think Ethereum had a very good pump over the last month. Yep. I think that all the hype and the excitement about ETH 2.0 and the reality of like, hey, we've been waiting for this for 4 years and it's finally tangible within our grasp has caused the price to rally up. But I think that there was a little too much hype. And just because we launch on September 19th does not mean Ethereum will become this amazing, phenomenal product that we know it will be down the road. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Ethereum's going to fail. I think Ethereum long-term is a phenomenal project. I think that this rally is a little bit overexposed.
Yeah.
And what you're going to see is you're going to see Cardano, Bitcoin, and Ethereum all move with same colored candles or at least close. This is the difference. Watch me. On the days when the candles are red, watch the Ethereum candles be actually pretty large. Watch Bitcoins be kind of and then Cardano's be very small. And then on the flip side, when there's green candles, the Cardano candles will be huge, the Bitcoins will be substantial, and Ethereum's will be small. I actually think in this rising wedge, go back to my chart real quick here, Smay. I think in this rising wedge, same thing I was doing there with Bitcoin. The only difference is I think that Ethereum's a little overextended at the moment. We could see Ethereum potentially work its way back to around $16,000 if I'm using this breakout again, the same thing I was doing with Bitcoin, and I'm coming back over here to this breakout point. You're going to see this brings us back down right there, 16,030 somewhere, give or take. When you're looking at what we were at back here in May, for example, Bitcoin, this is $30,000 level. With Ethereum, this is around where we are currently, 18,000, 19,000. We're a little overexposed. Ethereum got its run really early. And just so you know, 16,000, I know that sounds bearish from where we're sitting currently at 19,000, but you back us up 1 month ago and you would hear, hey, do you think Ethereum at 16,000 would be great? Or 1600?
I was wondering if you were going to catch that.
It's really hard to mix when you're going back and forth between talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum and the levels. Just anyway, 1600. If you tell me 1 month ago and I don't know anything about this rally, Tim, what do you think about Ethereum at 1600? We would say, oh, that's bullish. That's great. That's phenomenal. The only reason why it sounds bearish is because we're talking about a 19,000. We pushed and we hit $2,000 here a second ago, but 1,900 to 1,600, that sounds bearish. It's not. It means Ethereum just rallied quicker than everything else, and it's time to cool off a little bit while another altcoin gets its hot turn to get some green candles in, some big green candles.
Sounds like Ethereum's going to get its hot turn to get some big green candles if it's going 16K. I would love for Ethereum how long do you think it'll take for Ethereum to go to 16K?
I don't know. It depends on who you talk to. Some people are thinking like here in like 3 or 4 years. They think Ethereum's, which I
could see
I get it. Like
I could easily see that.
I've been on record that I think there's a couple other things for Ethereum to work on before it worries about flipping Bitcoin, but I don't think it's impossible for it to flip Bitcoin. I've actually heard some very reasonable arguments about that here recently. That absolutely Ethereum could. Let's just get ETH 2.0 launched. Let's get the project. Let's get the feet underneath it. I think Ethereum will have another explosion day. I just think a lot of people think it's going to happen right now, and it's not time for it yet. It actually needs to cool off a little bit. Get some of that hype. You don't want your price to have been pumped by a bunch of hype. Hype is inflated. Get that air out of the space. Get that empty, weak hands. Get them out. Get them out. Let the strong hands, the diamond hands, get back into space because of strong fundamentals and because of effective products. That's what you need. A pullback to 1,600 is not a bad thing, even though people who are trading it will think of it that way. It is a good thing for the health of Ethereum. It just got a little too inflated too fast due to hype.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think Ethereum's a great project. I do think you'll see it at 16K one day. And definitely make sure that you have some of it in your portfolio. Not financial advice, but it is wisdom based on the experience that I've had investing in it. Let's go ahead and jump on to Cardano. We are 12 minutes from the end of the show. Haven't talked about Cardano yet, so we should probably fix that.
Yeah.
Tim, you want to lead us?
Well, here's the thing. Let's kind of just like reverse back to what I was just talking about here. You know, Cardano had the hype that Cardano had was that it didn't fall bearish. Let's look at a couple charts here real quick. Let's look at a couple timelines of what happened to other projects. So are you? I don't know. You're moving stuff around. Are you on my screen? Okay. I just see you elbow. All right. So
I think you should trust me more. As a technical
I love you is what I do.
I love you.
Let's look right here. Let's look at May to this is about June of this year in Ethereum. We're hovering up here between about 1,700 and about 2,000. Okay. Then we had this massive drop down, and we got down below 1,000. Everyone was freaking out, and then we quickly rallied back up. Right. Bitcoin, we're looking at those same dates, that same timeline. Let's look at those dates. Back here in May to June, we're hovering between, 28,000 and getting as high as almost 32. I think we touched 32. Yeah, we touched 32. Then, of course, we had this big drop off, right? Cardano had a lot of exciting things happening during that time. So what did it do during this time? It actually dropped to these lower levels a lot sooner. Look at May to June area. The price was fluctuating between 45 cents and about 65 cents, right? That's the same timeline in Ethereum and Bitcoin were higher and had a massive drop. Cardano's bullishness is that its drop just was nowhere near as severe as the rest of it. However, since that time, it's just moving sideways. It's not, yes, this is up. Yes, we're moving the price up, but it didn't get the same hype train that Ethereum got. Bitcoin kind of made up half the distance. Cardano's sitting below, where levels it was back in June, whereas Ethereum is well above it. Bitcoin's hovering right there on that area. I think that it's actually Cardano's turn to get a bullish momentum wave. Now, here's what happened. Here's why Cardano didn't take off. The reason it didn't fall very far was because everyone was excited about Vasil hard fork, which Charles Hoskinson has said was the most important update to Cardano in the history of its existence. It is going to be big. I think the Ethereum merge is going to be big. I think ETH 2.0 launching for the future of cryptocurrency is massive. But Vasil hard fork on Cardano, it is massive as well. But we didn't necessarily get this massive hype train. And when we found out it was going to be delayed, that hype train waited to go. That we don't have one. We just didn't have a massive bearish sell-off. We didn't have a hype train go with it at all. Vasil hard fork coming out, the Vasil upgrade coming out, is going to bring some of that hype. Remember I said there was air kind of put into Ethereum and it kind of got overhyped? I think a similar thing will happen with Cardano. And some analysts are calling for above $1. They're calling for us to get back up potentially to $1.20. Let me just tell you right now, Jebb, if Cardano gets to $1.20 within the next couple of months, I guarantee you that is a hype move where it has a lot of air in it. But guess what? That happens. We just watched it happen to Ethereum. I think it's going to happen to Cardano as well, where a lot of hype along with strong fundamentals and big upgrades are going to come into space. And we're going to see the price shoot up to about 120 because of all that hype. And then it's going to come back and cool off, come back down to earth, maybe drop back down around 80 cents or so. And just, people will buy at $1.20, and then they'll just sit there and wait, and it'll fall back to 80 cents, and they will be distraught. But those of us who are sitting here right now looking at 56 cents, those of us who were buying down here when it was 42 cents are looking at an 80-cent Cardano and saying, holy cow, this is phenomenal. This is amazing. The same way if you bought Ethereum at 900 and you're hearing $1,600 for Ethereum, you're like, wow, that's amazing. It's all about changing things into perspective. And with Vasil actually, with the last step of it, as T-Shin was talking about, the last step of Vasil, the last node is kind of being approved right now. As long as there are no major bugs, which at this point is looking like there's a good sign there will not be, I expect strong fundamentals to come in and raise the price, paired with a massive amount of hype that Ethereum had for a while, that we've had some other altcoins have for a while, that Cardano has not had. Watch that happen. Hype plus strong fundamentals will bring a massive boost to the Cardano space, and then there will be a cool-off period just like everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really big take, Tim. I really appreciate that. I think what we are going to see, like you said, is that we're going to see some pumps on ADA. As he talked about, we've had a lot of hype coming up for the Ethereum 2.0 fork. Now we've got a lot of hype coming up for the Vasil update on Cardano. The thing to keep in mind, though, guys, is that regardless of what the price of either of these assets does, the price of these assets is reflective of the long-term fundamental underlying intrinsic value. And the best thing that either one of these projects can do during this bear market, this is something Charles Hoskinson has said on this channel when I interviewed him 6 months ago, the best thing that a cryptocurrency project or a company or a community can do during a bear market is buckle down and get to work and make the most out of that time where you don't have so much of the spotlight on the price action of your stock or of your cryptocurrency or of your follower count if you're an influencer, and just get down to brass tacks and make a great product. Because when the bull market comes back, it's going to bring returns to those of us that invested during this time. That's why we were content to launch Club DeFi in the middle of a bear market. That's why we're content to do new shows in the middle of a bear market. That's why we're content to build new systems in the middle of a bear market. Because when the new bull market comes back, this channel is going to be in a position where we're going to be able to make the most out of that. Cardano is going to be in a position where they're going to be able to make the most out of that. We're going to see Bitcoin and Ethereum in the position to make the most out of that because they have built during the bear cycle. So what I'm really excited for on Cardano is not just the next 3 months with the potential of a hype cycle back up to $1.20, which is very possible. I don't know if a hype cycle in the bear market right now would drive it up to $1.20, maybe up to 80 cents, maybe up to $1. I don't know if it would get us all the way back up to $1.20, because quite frankly, if we got all the way up to $1.20, then that would start drawing into question the idea of a long-term inverse head and shoulders pattern, which would draw into question the idea of a $3 Cardano in like halfway through next year, which is possible. But that would likely mean that if we did rally up to $1.20, we wouldn't backtest all the way down to 40 cents. We might backtest down to 60 or 70 cents and then bounce and rally. That'd be great. That would be the indication that the bear market in Cardano is over, which would likely be as a result of the bear market in crypto in general being over. So if it went to $1.20, fantastic. That's only happening if Bitcoin and Ethereum are in at least a state of confidence, maybe not necessarily in a bull market, but if they're at least doing somewhat well, and we're seeing geopolitical headwinds start to let up, and we start to see more interest going back into the altcoin space, because as we talked about earlier, people are starting to look at Bitcoin, hopefully, as a risk-off asset. People still very much look at things like Cardano and Ethereum as a risk-on asset, even in cryptocurrency. I look at them as a risk-on asset compared to Bitcoin. That's the way they should be viewed. So if Cardano is doing that well to rally up to $1.20, that likely means that the rest of the space is doing well enough that people have more confidence in Bitcoin and Ethereum too. I do think that Cardano will outpace those two assets in the upcoming bear market, just because they have, in the upcoming bull market, just because they have more ground to recover. If you guys are interested in more Cardano content, make sure to subscribe to this channel, because we are constantly making Cardano content. We love Cardano. We think it's going to do amazing things in the future, and I do think it's a very serious contender for that #2 spot that Ethereum currently holds. But we're getting close to the end of the show, and we have some super chats to read. So Smay, could you take us away?
Well, gee, before we read some super chats, let me tell you about something that I really like. I'm going to tell you about something I really like. I really like cryptocurrency. Do you really like cryptocurrency? I think you guys do, because you're watching this show. Well, what if you could magically, say you, early in the show, you decided, Smay, that ledger was really compelling. I went and bought a ledger. But now, how do I put crypto on that ledger? You're asking yourself. Well, I mean, you could be, lame and go on an exchange, log in and KYC and all this stuff. And that sounds horrifying. What you could do is you could sign up for Hedge. Hedge is a payroll conversion solution that lets you convert a percentage of your payroll into cryptocurrency, and it gets immediately deposited into your cold wallet of choice. Guys, it is the easiest peasiest thing, and it has so small of fees that it's basically like the exchange fees aren't even there. So that's how great it is. I gotta tell you, Hedge is one of the greatest crypto companies in my opinion. I think it is driving the adoption of cryptocurrency. I think it is the future of crypto. So why not go ahead and just DCA by getting paid in cryptocurrency? And the best part is you don't even have to try to convince your boss to let you do it. No, you guys can do it on your own. Sign up for Hedge today. Back to you, Jeb.
Boom.
Oh, but back to me, because I gotta read super chats.
Back to Smay.
Well, real quick before super chats, did you guys know that
I didn't.
hitting a like button increases your ability to make money in the crypto space?
Really?
No, it doesn't. But it does help this channel. It does make you a nice person to smack that like button. We got 1,300 people watching with just under 400 likes. We can get higher than that.
We can get to 600 likes.
Definitely get
easy.
higher than that.
You know what I love is the people who really support this channel. And you know what is I just want to show some appreciation to some special people out there. Guys, I wanted to shout out some of our most generous super chatters here this week. Guys, you guys are so awesome. You guys are single-handedly keeping us running, and it's you guys that keep the light on. So I want to shout out the 3 biggest super chatters from this week is Matt C. Shout out to Matt C.
Bada boom.
The Coin Father. Shout out to the Coin Father. And Mike Markle. And then it's tied, actually. Mike Markle, NMCT, and David Pascal. You guys are the best. You guys are keeping us running, supporting us, and I love it. But now let's read some super chats. And by super chats, I mean super chat because there's only one. From Elliot Locke, he says, Kevin O'Leary on Stansberry Research suggested that the Fed will do 50 basis points in September and maybe October due to the elections, but then go major hawkish in December. January, how would his suggestion affect price action?
Well, first of all, I don't agree with the suggestion. I don't think that's going to happen. I respect Kevin O'Leary, but I do disagree with him there. I don't think they're going to go 50-50, 100-100, and then 0-0, because that's what they would have to do if they did what O'Leary just said over on that show. Because you would have, if you went 50-50, not 50-50, not half and half, but 50 basis point before the midterms, then you would see the effective federal funds rate sitting at what would it be, 2.25 to, or yeah, it'd be at 2.25 to, yeah, 2.25. It would be at 3.25. Then if they went super hawkish, then I assume what he means by super hawkish is 75, but probably he means 100. Then you'd be from 3.25 to 4.25, then 5.25, and then they would have to drop it off a cliff because inflation probably would have come down to 5.25 by then. So that makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I think the reason it makes sense is maybe, I don't even know if he's making this point. I think that at the moment we're predicting 50 basis points. I think that there's a lot of pressure to do 50 basis points twice in a row. I think what he's saying is valid with even the election concerns. I think the reason why they jumped to, back up to 75 after that in December and then maybe even 100 is because guess what? We just turned the money printers back on, and we're going to read numbers that are outdated to say that we only need to do 50 basis points. And then in December, the inflation is going to be sky high again, and they're going to be like, oh, crap.
That's true.
We got to take care of this. And so I don't think the logic of saying they're going to do that should be, this is their plan. I don't think the Fed knows that they're going to do that. I don't think they've written on paper, we're going to do 50, and then 50, and then we're going to do 100. No, what's going to happen is they're going to do 50 and 50. Because they are looking at outdated numbers, false numbers. They're going to have pressure from the people that support them who want to be reelected. And then when inflation actually does go to hell in a handbasket, they're going to say, crap, we about to screw everything up. Let's get hawkish and let's go 100. That's the route. If what Kevin says is real, that's the route. They won't go to 100 for kicks and giggles. They're going to go to 100 because they darn messed up and inflation's out of control.
And went too dovish.
They might.
Too dovish.
They might. We'll see on that. I just haven't seen in the history of them doing a bunch of jumping around where they're going 50, 100, 75, 50, 100, 75. Normally they're raising it at somewhat of a linear rate in history, and they start to tail off towards where they want to plateau.
Remember 6 months ago, they didn't think inflation was going to be a problem. And they done messed up.
They may have said that.
They said it. Yeah, they were like, "Oh, I don't think inflation's a problem. We don't need to." And then
that's a bold-faced lie. But my
welcome
point
to
is,
the government.
I know. But what I'm saying is that, but
really?
them thinking that is not what they were making their decision based off of. They knew inflation was going to be a problem.
Things change on them, and they have to adjust.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we're over time, but we love coming at you every day, bringing you coffee and crypto live, guys. The time slot's 10 a.m. Eastern. Make sure to tune in every single weekday for the latest on Bitcoin and crypto, technical, on-chain, and fundamental analysis. We got a lot of content coming up over the course of this week. Tomorrow's going to be a big show, so make sure you tune in. Definitely going to be a emotional one for me. I'm really looking forward to that show, but I'm also kind of dreading it in a way.
Yeah.
So either way, I'm going to be
It's been a good run, man.
It has.
It's been a very good run.
And people, you guys are going to see me again. But
Yeah.
You'll see me again on this channel probably, and
He's
see
not
me
moving
again
to Alaska.
at other places. I'm not moving to Alaska. I don't think. I mean, maybe that's the direction. Doesn't seem like it right now. But this is not the last you guys are going to see of me. And I don't say that in like, I'll be back kind of thing. Like, get to the chopper. I'm just saying that I think I'm going to have a lot more to do here on YouTube and in the public eye, and I'm really looking forward to that season. So, guys, cannot wait for tomorrow's show. Also really dreading it. Really kind of a strange emotion on that, but I guess the word for it is bittersweet. Look out for it. Make sure to like this stream if you haven't already. Let's get to 500 likes. Make sure to smash that subscribe button because this channel ain't going nowhere but up. You know that. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Follow these two fine gentlemen and T-Shroom. He's also a fine gentleman. Over on their Twitter accounts, and make sure to boost them because we want to make sure this isn't all about my personality, but you guys are also interested in what Tim is showing and what Smay is doing, what T-Shroom is doing, Kelly, and all these different people. Make sure you continue to invest in your education. It's the greatest investment you will ever make in your mind, and make sure that you continue to invest in Bitcoin and crypto. You will be glad you did. I'm speaking from over 5 years experience in the markets on that one. Before we go though, guys, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video.